The higher you climb, the lonelier it gets. Not because you want to be alone, but because fewer people understand the view from where you're standing.
Welcome to Daily Power Boost, Ignite Your Potential, the podcast where your transformation begins. I'm Sean Michael, and each day I'll bring you quick, impactful insights and action steps to fuel your personal and professional growth. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a leader, or someone ready to break limits and ignite greatness, this is your Daily Power Boost to crush obstacles, stay focused, and awaken the extraordinary potential within you. Because remember, greatness begins within. Let's go.
Welcome back to Daily Power Boost. We're starting Arc 3, the next level loneliness. And I know we've had a bit of a gap. But before the gap, for the last 16 episodes, we've been building your foundation. We anchored your identity. We learned to protect capacity. We built your protected list. Now, I want to address something most leaders don't see coming. The cost of growth isn't just time and energy, it's connection. Because here's what happens as you rise. The conversations get harder to have. The problems get harder to share. The pressure gets harder to name. And slowly, quietly, you start carrying it alone. Not because you're antisocial, but because fewer people can relate to what you're navigating. I recall a conversation with a friend who was going through a season of growth. Everything was scaling. The business was expanding. Visibility was increasing. Opportunities multiplying. From the outside, it looked like they had it all together. But one day, over coffee, they said something that stopped me cold. I don't know who to talk to anymore. Not because they didn't have people in their life, but because they were carrying questions they didn't know how to ask, decisions that felt too heavy to share, pressure that they couldn't explain to people who weren't in a similar place. They told me about sitting with a close friend, someone they'd known for years, and realizing they couldn't talk about what they were actually navigating. Not because the friend didn't care, but because the context was just too different. Their friend was navigating employee challenges. They were navigating leadership isolation. Their friend was building stability. They were managing rapid growth. And the gap between their realities made connection hard. That's when I saw it clearly. Success doesn't just change your calendar, it changes your relationships. Here's what happens when you start climbing. You outpace your circle. The people who were with you at the beginning can't always go where you're going. Not because they don't support you, but because the path diverges. And here's the cost most people don't name. You start editing yourself. You stop sharing the full truth because you don't want to sound like you're complaining. You carry your wins alone because celebrating feels like bragging. And you carry losses alone because no one else gets the stakes. And slowly, you become isolated, even surrounded by people. Here's the shift. Isolation isn't about being alone, it's about being unseen. You can be in a room full of people and still feel like no one truly sees what you're navigating. This isolation, not a personality flaw. I call it a tax, a hidden cost of growth that most people don't warn you about. So let me reframe what the isolation tax actually is. It's not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're outgrowing something. Outgrowing? It's not betrayal, it's evolution. Now here's the part most leaders miss. Just because you've outgrown one circle doesn't mean you stop needing a circle. You just need a different one with people who understand the altitude you're navigating, one where you don't have to edit yourself to be understood. And that circle, that's what we're talking about tomorrow. The peer problem. When you outgrow your circle, because once you name this isolation tax, the next question, what do you do when the people who were with you at the start can't go where you're going? But first, let me go ahead and land today with your isolation tax practice. Ask yourself, who in my life actually understands what I'm navigating now? Be honest, not who cares about you, but who truly understands the specific pressure, the decisions, the weight you're carrying. If the list is short, or maybe empty, that's the isolation tax. It's costing you more than you realize because you can't carry everything alone. And trying to, that will break you. The higher you climb, the fewer people understand the view. But this doesn't mean you have to climb alone. It just means you need to find the people who are climbing with you. This was the isolation tax, what you lose as you climb. Next episode, the peer problem, when you outgrow your circle. The reality, growth changes relationships, and navigating that change without losing yourself, that's the work we're doing over the next several episodes. With strength and heart, I'm Sean Michael. Stay close.
Thanks for tuning in to Daily Power Boost. Ignite your potential. Remember, transformation starts with action. So take today's insight, make it your own, and awaken your inner potential. Because remember, greatness begins within. Catch you tomorrow for your next Power Boost.